Hello everybody, today in the workshop we have a Mazda CX-5. It's in for a timing chain replacement. Unfortunately the timing has jumped on the vehicle. As you can see, it's quite black and dirty inside the timing chain area due to irregular oil changes. Obviously diesels burn heavier than petrol, so it is quite common to see it being black inside the engine components, but still can be in a lot more better condition than that if you keep on top of your oil changes in your services. Obviously the new timing chain guides, sprockets, oil pump chain, main cam chain in the corner here, you've got the tensioners and everything like that. So these will be installed. As you can see, I am installing the oil pump chain. As you can see, you've got the gold links on the chain and you've got the dots on the sprockets. So the gold links have to line up with the dots, so that shows that the oil pump is in timing. And if you look up here, you can see here where the other sprocket slides onto the end of the crankshaft. You've got two dots there, and the other gold links line up to the dots there. So yeah, we've now got the oil pump chain in the correct timing position. Next, I'm going to show you it with the oil pump tensioner I'm going to install for the timing chain. So bear with me and I shall show you this with the tensioner installed. Next, you're going to have the tensioner that goes here, or actually incorrect, you've got the tensioner that goes this side, and then you've just got a guide that goes this side, held on by two 8mm bolts on this side, and then you've got two 8mm bolts that hold on the tensioner this side to the chain. On the tensioner, the two bolts are longer than the bolts that hold on the guide on this side. Bear with me and I will show you that next. Thank you. Here we go, people. As you can see now, I have the guide for the chain that is installed, held by two 8mm bolts, and then you've got the tensioner here that is held on by another two 8mm bolts, and then you've got the lower sprocket that goes onto the oil pump, which is a 17mm nut or bolt, you want to call it. That needs to, when I looked up on auto data, states roughly that you should torque that lower sprocket on the oil pump between 20 and 26 newton meters. You need to be able to lock the bottom sprocket somehow into position to stop it from spinning, so you can get your torques on the bolt correctly. And yeah, and then obviously once you've done that, next stage would be to just pull the pin, and then once the pin's pulled, everything would be in its correct position. And then once I've done that, I will show you the next stage of the main cam chain going on. Thank you. Here we go, people. As you can see, I've now installed the main cam chain. I haven't put the guides on as of yet. I will show you that shortly once the guides are installed. I'm just showing you that the cam chain has been installed onto the sprocket, and as you can see, if I come in closer, you can see that you've got a dot on the camshaft sprocket and a blue link on which lines up. And then if I move down to the bottom, you can see on the lower sprocket that you have a dot and another blue link on the timing chain itself. So you also, if you have a look, you have a wood draft key that sits right there. Sorry, right there's a wood draft key. This should be in the 12 o'clock position, and the dot on the sprockets, let's just say it's around almost close to the 3 o'clock position. If there, you'll know that you're in the correct timing interval. And yeah, next stage I'll be putting on the timing chain guides, so I'll put them on and then show you what it looks like afterwards. Right, here you can see, people, I've got the timing guides on now for the chain, so the chain can run against the guides nice and smoothly. When you are installing the guides, just please make sure, if it's you're going to do it yourself, just make sure that the chain is seated correctly in between on the guides properly, so that the chain can have a smooth operation and it runs along the guide the way it's supposed to run. As I said, as you can see, you've got the blue link on the chain that lines up with the dot on the camshaft sprocket. And then, as you can see there, if I move the camera down a bit more, you can see that I've got the new tensioner in with the pin. Once you're happy with everything and you can see that all the markings are in the correct place and you're happy, you can then pull the pin, and then that'll be the timing chain fully completed. This sprocket, well, the bolt that holds the sprocket, should I say, Autodata says that sprocket should, not sprocket, the bolt should be torqued down to about 120 newton meters. Also, just to clarify, when you are doing the timing chain on this particular vehicle, there are, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera, but it's a bit difficult, the camera's not focusing. I'll have to show you and try and see if I can put a picture in the corner, but there is 2 dots as well on the back of these camshafts. You've got 2 dots on the intake camshaft and you've got 1 dot on the exhaust camshaft. The 1 dot needs to line up in between the 2 dots on the camshaft, and that's another indication to say and tell you that the timing is also in the correct interval. Other than that, as long as you're happy, that's everything completed on the timing chain itself. Right, so the next stage to do on this vehicle is to now clean up this timing cover. As you can see, the timing cover is quite dirty, so now we're going to get some brake cleaner and a wire brush. You can use either a normal handheld wire brush and just clean up the mating areas, and then once they're all nice and clean, you can get the compressor and then blow some air for it to get any bits of debris and dirt, and wash it down again with brake cleaner. And then once that's done, next stage would be to install the timing cover. The silicone that I'm going to be using is the Victor resin. Very good, never had any problems with this sealant ever failing. Goes off relatively quite quick, but I normally say to people, I like to recommend normally letting the silicone settle for, I like to try and give it 24 hours if I can, but if not, at least 1 to 3 hours minimum, I would say, to at least let it cure a bit before starting the vehicle, because we don't want obviously any leaks to happen on the vehicle. Also, another important thing to do on this is to also always replace, always replace the front main seal. As I said, we're doing preventable maintenance, so you would also replace the front seal. And yeah, so I'm going to get on with this, clean up the timing cover, the front and the back, make it look a little bit more presentable, so that when it goes on the car it looks new, so the customers also can see that I've been in there and things have been done properly. We're not going to do the job half-heartedly. So I'm going to get on with that, and then once I've done that, I'll be installing the timing cover, and then I'll show you once the timing cover is installed. Hi everybody, back again, just continuing the work on this Mazda. So next stage is now to clean up all this area around here and get everything nice and clean. So I'm ready to put on the rocker cover with this new gasket, and then, sorry, got a bit of a cold. And then another thing to bring to your attention is, with these vehicles, it's pretty common for the injector seals to fail on these vehicles. If you have a look here, the copper washer has failed, unfortunately, and this can lead to cranking but no start on the vehicle, because what happens is the vehicle loses compression where the injectors are, and all the compression stroke leaks through past the injectors. Another thing that causes issues as well is the fact that when the vehicle is running, the diesel can leak past the injector into the oil pan and dilute the engine oil, which then, when the engine oil becomes diluted, it then will destroys the oil, and then what happens is it contaminates it, then ruins the timing chain, and then the timing chain tensioner becomes contaminated, which then doesn't create the correct tension, because the tensioner on these timing chains are also spring loaded, but they also are fed by oil pressure as well to create the correct tension on the chain, so the timing chain doesn't jump. So Mazda have created a upgraded kit here, which is like a steel copper washer. So upside down, steel copper washer. These are updated, a lot stronger, less wearing. There is a special torque sequence that you need to do to put these injectors in. If you don't put them in the correct torque sequence, the injectors will leak again, and you can lose compression, and the vehicle will just crank and no start. Before putting in these injectors, you must make sure that every hole, the surface down the bottom where the injector seal would sit, is very clean, and there's no wet. The surface is basically not wet and full of any oil. Otherwise, when you do go to bolt down the injectors, it's not going to seat properly, which then it won't create the correct seal. But yeah, you must get the upgraded kit from Mazda, what I have got here, which is all original. It's not cheap, but it's needed. The bolts that you do get are also stretch bolts, torque to yield bolts, so there is a special torque sequence that you need to do to make sure that these injectors are torqued and put down to the correct torque sequence. So I'm gonna get this done, and then next you'll most likely see that the vehicle will be started and hopefully running and purring the way it's supposed to.